ratified. We have a constitution.
God himself could agree to be first president, and I'd not put such hellish powers into his hands.
My God, what do they expect of me?
I trust they still hail him as their savior after they learn of my financial plan.
2 years ago, General Motors presented an 8-hour television series on the life of George Washington and the struggle of the American colonies for freedom. Tonight and tomorrow night, we continue the story with the new General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation. 13 American colonies won a war against Britain to become the first democratic government. Still threatened by foreign tyrannies, a constitution was proposed in 1787 to bind the 13 states into one vital nation. Some feared the document would lead to an American king. Others had faith in one man who could unify the nation and keep the dream of the American Revolution alive. George Washington.
Maybe Invincible still he will make royal gift. Pick up his ears. Let him get a good smell of her. That's it. That's it. One last ploy. We'll entice his Royal Highness with this young Jenny here. If he becomes aroused, we'll quickly substitute the mare to be covered.
That might work, sir.
Mule, the animal of the future.
Sir, this country already has a bountiful supply of jackasses. Those damn fool politicians who are trying to prevent the Constitution from being ratified by the states.
I still can't believe that our own giants like Patrick Henry and George Mason still oppose this. It's ironic that war can bind men together only to have peace pull them apart. This new form of government, uniting 13 states into one nation, as called for in that Constitution, I believe is the last chance man may have to demonstrate that he's capable of ruling himself. How are the children's studies coming?
Well, sir, young Wash is having some difficulty with his sums.
He's as stubborn as the mule we hope to be born of this frustrating affair.
Sir, you must lend yourself to the first years of any new government.
Have you been talking with Mr. Hamilton?
No.
Mr. Madison? I may be a simple farmer, but I won't be pushed by anyone. Time for your ride?
Yes, Grandpapa.
All right. Jump across. Good girl. Young Wash, count the steps.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Of America fled that we should bow to so unholy a document. Mr. Madison speaks of checks and balances. What good, sir, are specious imaginary balances? Rope dancing, chain rattling, ridiculous checks and contrivances. And who has authorized...
It's so persuasive, I had to feel my wrists to make sure that iron cuffs were not already biting
It is
into
the
the
state
flesh.
through which the people must speak, and Mr. Madison knows that.
Sir, I object.
You, sir, and your Federalists have tried to scare us with what will happen to Virginia if we reject your Constitution. Maryland and Pennsylvania will descend on us from the north. The Indians will attack us from the rear, and Carolinians from the south, mounted on alligators, I presume, will destroy our cornfields and eat up our little children. A consolidated government means a government by force and the death of liberty. Mr. Henry, it will swallow up and destroy our state courts. The tax power will enslave our people. I tell you, my friends, God himself would vote against this diabolical instrument. You see, he has spoken.
Yes, sir. He objects, sir, to your intemperate speech.
Gentlemen, let us adjourn till the Almighty allows us to hear our own voices, if not those of our opponents.
I commend you for your eloquence, Mr. Henry. We agree. The document is imperfect, but it is the best that can be gotten at this time.
Your best, Governor Randolph, is my worst. Where is the Bill of Rights to protect our liberties?
Sir, the door is open for amendment. We can add later the protections we all want.
I say call a second constitutional convention to hear the real will of the people.
Now that, sir, is an invitation to chaos. We have put in 5 torturous months to get this far. We cannot survive without a stronger government. States fighting states, territories threatening...
Perhaps before the final vote, we could reach a compromise.
You, sir, trumpeted your refusal to endorse the damnable document in Philadelphia. Now in Richmond, you sing its praises. Can your recent visit to the august George Washington at Mount Vernon have anything to do with such perfidious inconstancy?
By God, sir, Governor, if George Washington agrees to serve, that great man's integrity will burn away all your knee-quaking fears of a king.
I shall oppose ratification to my last breath, sir, and be damned.
Then you damn this nation to chaos and anarchy and an ultimate decision by the sword.
2 stitches, 2 tiny stitches, and 1 across.
Like this, ma'am?
Excellent. Only you have clever fingers and a mind to match.
You make it easy to learn, ma'am.
Sir, Mr. Randolph's coach is approaching.
Thank you.
You're concerned about bad news from Richmond?
If Virginia rejects this Constitution, I'd be devastated, of course. But if they ratify...
They'll want you to serve the new nation.
We've been so happy here since the war. The last thing either of us wants is to leave Mount Vernon.
George, if you feel it's your duty...
My duty is to you, and to Nellie and young Wash.
With their father dead, they're very fortunate to have such a wonderful grandfather.
You know, even if I did consent, I've led men in battle, but to be the chief executive of a new form of government, I'm not sure I'm the man.
Oh, you are. But do you want to be?
You know, if I accept this office, I'd have to borrow money to travel to New York.
You wouldn't.
We are land poor. It's not a very auspicious beginning to a presidency.
General Washington. Yes. Virginia has ratified. We have a constitution, a new government.
General Washington, congratulations.
And to you, Governor Randolph.
Congratulations, sir.
And to you, Mr. Madison, Mr. Monroe.
Sir. And now the greatest challenge lies ahead of us. We are the only nation in the world without a king or an emperor.
The Europeans predict we'll tear ourselves apart like wild animals.
Rhode Island, New York, and South Carolina all threaten not to join the Union. Only George Washington, as president, can make us one nation.
Mr. President. I can't tell you how anxious I have been awaiting your arrival. I suppose that you weren't aware of just how much I've needed you here.
I am here, sir, only because of you. I'd serve no other man in such a task.
May I congratulate you on your daughter's marriage?
Thank you, Mr. President. I shall miss her, but I have my little Polly to raise. She'll be my comfort now.
They told me you were here. For years, I've looked forward to meeting the man who wrote the Declaration. You're a legend in your own time, Mr. Jefferson.
Alexander Hamilton.
You exaggerate my eminence, sir. I'm equally honored to meet you.
Well, would you two gentlemen care to adjourn this mutual admiration society long enough for a brandy? How fortunate I am to have two such remarkable men at my service. You see before you an aging general who, with your help, must learn as I go to be a president. To my Secretary of State, Mr. Jefferson, and my Secretary of Treasury, Mr. Hamilton. To the three of us. May the nation grow and prosper under our benevolent attentions. Hear, hear. Good evening, sir. Shall we, my dear?
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
Good night, Mrs. Washington. Mr. President.
Good night. Thank you.
Listen to them. I trust they still hail him as their savior after they learn of my financial plan. Make sure no one reveals the details before we present it to the Congress.
Alex, I'm your cousin, I'm your deputy. You know I'll be vigilant. Don't worry. The president's prestige will carry your plan through Congress with flying colors. Good night, my friend.
Good night, William. Damn it, at least wait till he gets around the corner.
I couldn't wait, sir. Is the news good or bad?
better than good, Mr. Reynolds. The man has revealed to me his complete financial system and the data presented to Congress.
One of the mainsprings is redemption at face value of the certificates issued as money by the Continental Congress during the war. Mr. Hamilton hopes this will give stability to the new federal government.
To fatten our purses first, eh, sir?
You will have less than a month to gallop through the backcountry and buy up those certificates. Little tongue oil should get them dirt cheap. The ex-soldiers already think they're all but worthless.
I'll be on the road before dawn. Sir. I appreciate this. You won't regret it.
GM Odyssey 2, Scene 1, Take 3.
Is imagination the seed of technology, the inspiration for creating the future? At General Motors, they believe it is. And it's this future they're looking to for today's ideas. In this film, we'll be taking a closer look at the dreamers, thinkers, inventors of GM, working together to develop the revolutionary technology we'll need to take us from today into the 21st century. It's far-reaching, it's fantastic. But is it science, or is it fiction? Cut. Okay, let's go for another take. Take 4.
Okay, Russell, they're ready for you.
All right, you set up the close-up of the door and...
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm Russell.
Russell, you're taking me to the ABC room.
Yeah, it's over this way. Oh, listen, what do you think of my tie?
I hate it.
Oh.
Come on, I was only kidding. I'm just going to ask you some questions. So, how long have you been with GM?
And now, back to tonight's General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
I'm not sure this is wise, sir.
Wise? The Constitution requires that the president seek out the advice and consent of the Senate on treaties. What can be the harm in going there in person?
Many of their debates have been marked by anger.
Yes, well, perhaps we can bring a little harmony to our senators. That's very good.
I'm not so sure Congress feels as charitable towards their president either. They certainly took their time approving your heads of departments.
Don't get me started on that again.
Oh, they should have jumped for joy to have men like Randolph and Hamilton and Jefferson.
And you, Mr. Secretary of War.
I'm afraid that some senators denounce the new government as a plot to establish a monarchy, and a trap to destroy the people's liberty.
Yes, well, thank you for your cheerful reminder, General Knox. It makes me feel like, actually, it makes me feel like Daniel about to enter the lion's den.
Motion is so carried. Gentleman from Virginia.
Mr. President of the Senate, fellow members, I propose a tax on every slave that's imported into the United States, since it is the great defect of our new Constitution that it suffers such a vile business to go on.
Virginia speaks so piously. She has all the slaves she needs. But the slave trade is the lifeblood of the lower South. Now, if Virginia thinks slavery such an evil institution, then let her begin by freeing her own slaves.
Gentlemen, your forbearance. President Washington has arrived.
Mr. Vice President, gentlemen of the Senate, please. I have drafted instructions for the commission, which I have appointed with your approval, to negotiate a treaty with the Southern Indians. If the President of the Senate would kindly read the preamble, I would thereafter be grateful for your advice and consent.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
The treaty with the...
Look at him. He's taken our vice president's chair. He means to tread on the necks of the Senate.
On the part and behalf of the said states and the undersigned kings, chiefs, and warriors of the Creek Nation of Indians, on the part and behalf of the said nation.
What did he say? Something about Indians?
There shall
louder,
be perpetual
sir.
peace and friendship.
Louder? Yes. I can't hear you.
Article 1. There shall be perpetual peace and friendship between all the citizens of the United States of America and all the individuals, towns, and tribes of the upper...
This is a flim-flam, sir. We must have that treaty in our hands to read at leisure. What chance is there for a fair investigation while the President of the United States sits there on the dais like a pasha with his Secretary of War there to support his opinions? The great man intends to overawe the timid and neutral parts of the Senate.
This treaty is of crucial concern to Georgia. And in the name of that great state, I would propose that we postpone this matter till Monday.
I move that this treaty be submitted to a committee for study.
I move that we defer action until further study. This defeats the very purpose of my coming here. General Washington, sir.
I'll be damned if I'll ever go there again.
Easy on that. It makes you a little crazy.
What do you expect me to be? I trusted you.
There are big ears. The holier of them now, Virginians.
I borrowed to invest in those certificates, and that bloody Congress still refuses to pass Hamilton's plan to fund the debt. Prices on the damn script bounce up and down on every rumor. I can't even decide when to cut my losses and sell out.
Down, I told you.
Calm down. With a cell in debtor's prison waiting for me.
No, you've had enough, and I've had enough of your sniveling. I, too, have my fortune in those certificates. Now, just hold on for a little while more. Hamilton will persuade that Congress yet. I know the man.
The proposals.
Look at them.
Here, sir.
Money sharks.
They're listed in order.
Sweating and dealing in dark corners.
I still believe Mr. Hamilton's plan for the payment of war debts is a sound one. Mr. Monroe, you cannot blame him for this epidemic of greed.
I've always admired the man, for I'd not have worked so closely with him to ratify the Constitution. But now...
What's his deputy doing in such company?
He may be trying to control the more extreme speculation. Gentlemen, we cannot lose faith in Hamilton overnight. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
I've had Monroe investigate rumors that speculators were taking advantage of inside knowledge.
Sportsmen in every state have galloped over country roads trying to buy up as many certificates as possible before the farmer and the ex-soldier who earned them with their sweat and their blood discover that they might suddenly become much more valuable.
My God, I'll not stand for it.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Virginia.
Gentlemen, I would like to introduce, instead of Mr. Hamilton's redemption of certificate scheme, an alternative bill which provides that only some of the value of the certificates be paid to the present holder and the rest to the original holder.
That's fiscal heresy. You'd rob a man of what is rightfully his.
That, sir, is exactly what many of these so-called speculators, I call them blood-sucking vipers, have done to our poor ex-soldiers. My bill, I submit as a plea for human justice to those who sacrificed so much to bring this nation to birth.
Mr. Madison, I've just heard of your proposal. I beg you, sir, in view of our friendship, to withdraw your bill before it comes to a vote.
Mr. Hamilton, I cannot.
Dutch bankers have invested in the certificates. If the government's promise to pay the current owner is not honored, the United States credit abroad will be destroyed.
What do Dutch bankers mean to me? Did they fight to make this nation free?
But how in God's name will we ever identify the original holder? It would be folly to try and murderously expensive.
What's one man's folly is another man's justice.
Call them what you will. They take risks. They pour their profits into new enterprises, which, in the long view, will help the poor farmer more than a few acres or a new bed.
And you can charm a bear from his honey, that you can't stop your own deputy from consorting with those who would profit from your funding scheme.
William Dewar is an honorable man. If you have any proof
One
of
does
any
not need
wrongdoing-
proof to know the pig is at the trough. One can smell it.
I resent that.
Present it all you like, sir. But justice to the many takes precedence over any grandiose scheme to create wealth for the few. I will not withdraw my bill, Mr. Hamilton, and that is my final word. William.
Sir, I don't like your tone.
Nevertheless, as Treasury Secretary, if I should order an investigation of uncontrolled speculation, will it uncover any activity of yours which might compromise not only you, but inevitably me and my entire financial program?
No, of course not. Why do you cross-examine me like this? You're supposed to be my friend.
Which is why I'm going to suggest that you consider resigning.
Sir?
My sources tell me that Mr. Madison, as the new leader of the House, is investigating you.
My God.
If you're innocent, you have nothing to worry about. If you're not, indeed, call on God to help you, for I won't.
I'm blameless.
Good.
I swear.
I need no distractions if I'm to defeat Madison.
The clerk will announce the final vote.
House Bill 61, Mr. Madison's plan, has failed to carry by a vote of 29 to 21.
Next order of business.
Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from New York.
Sir, on behalf of the Treasury Secretary, I hereby propose passage of what Mr. Hamilton has called assumption. The federal government will take over all war debts still unpaid by the states.
I understand your outrage. Virginia has cleared up most of its war debts, and in effect, we would have to pay twice. But I caution you to give Mr. Hamilton a fair hearing.
Oh, for God's sake, don't you think I have?
There must be some way you can compose your differences. The president needs
Don't tell me again that the president wants harmony. He can't have it. Not when a principle is at issue. Your Treasury Secretary wants not only to increase federal control, but to virtually eliminate states' rights. He can no longer pretend to be Virginia's friend. Nor mine.
Urgent, Christopher. The president must be forewarned. Sir, I had hoped to spare you, but now the whispers have started. There's a serious breach with Madison that could destroy the Treasury's entire fiscal plan.
Yes, I've heard.
We must do away with the state's 13 conflicting systems of finance.
Yes, I understand.
Only a central authority can pay public creditors and restore public confidence in the government.
I'll talk to him, Mr. Hamilton.
Sir, I didn't mean to upset you.
Well, I am upset, Mr. Hamilton, at both you and Madison for not coming to me with this sooner. But now that it's public knowledge, you'll both play to the gallery. It'll make this breach even more impossible to...
Are you all right?
Yes. Yes, please just leave me. To think.
Forgive me, Mr. President.
We would have to open your legs, sir.
Providence hasn't failed me. Yet.
Do it. Mrs. Washington, you'll have to leave.
How is he? Almost gone.
What?
They're going to try to cut out the carbuncle, but it's very doubtful.
Lay it open a little wider, below the hip joint. The tumor is a little deeper than we thought.
Can you get it all?
Yes, it'll take more time and be more painful.
Cut! You heard the president. Deeper. Get all of it.
We've always been concerned about safety here at GM.
So what are you doing about designing safer cars now?
Here's something we're doing today.
Crash testing?
Yes, but by computer.
It's too bad you can't prevent accidents from happening in the first place.
We're trying to with things like collision avoidance.
Collision avoidance?
It's a radar warning system.
We'll have this in cars?
It might be possible down the road.
How?
Advanced electronics.
What else are you working on?
Well, there's obstacle detection.
I'm sorry.
It's all right, let's just go. Oh my gosh, is he all right?
What's he doing now?
I don't know.
We're also working on something called night vision.
How does it work?
By infrared.
Could you slow down a little, please? Tom! Is he all right?
It's all right. It's all right. Are you all right?
I'll feel better when we finally get there. I've got it.
What have you got?
The perfect name.
Paul?
Paula.
I thought we wanted a boy.
And now, back to tonight's General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
Yes, well. Yeah.
George, water. Just a bit now.
Don't worry. My Martha. I'm not going to leave you.
I know.
Now, Master White.
Pay attention. Pay attention. If the shadow were here, what time would it be?
2 in the afternoon, sir.
Good. As your bedtime is 8 o'clock, how many hours will you have to wait between now and the time that your grandpapa reads you a story?
Too many.
Wash.
Too few. 7.
Young man.
6.
Are you sure?
Yes.
George Washington Parke Custis, what am I going to do with you?
I don't know.
Why do you resist so doing your sums?
I don't know.
You're driving your schoolmaster to drink.
I know.
Mr. President.
Yes. Go see your grandmother for a cake.
Hello, Wash.
So you don't deserve one, Wash.
Sir.
Mr. Hamilton, you're late.
I apologize, sir.
What would you like?
I am furious that the orchestrated attacks on our program. Jefferson, who seems so mild and reasonable in the cabinet meetings, goads Madison to still further attacks in the House. Has he also, behind my back, turned you against me?
No, of course.
Then why else have you delayed so the signing of the bill creating the Bank of the United States?
I'm studying the matter, sir.
Through passionate argument and, I might add, exchange of many favors, I finally get the bill passed by the House 39 to 20. And what happens? You, Mr. President, sit on it for days. I thought you agreed with me that such a bank could stabilize our economy and unite the country as it hasn't been since the Revolution.
I'm disturbed by Mr. Madison's charge of unconstitutionality. And the Congress's doubts trouble me.
We cannot please everybody, sir.
I don't need to be reminded of that, sir. As there's yet no legal system, I must go slowly.
That, of course, is your prerogative, Mr. President. And I will eagerly await your decision. Good day, sir.
Alex. Be patient.
Mr. Hamilton,
Sir.
Sir, the president is expecting...
Why should I be denounced by your friend and protege, Madison, as the great corrupter of my country, when the truth is I've saved the United States by restoring its credit and breathing new life into its floundering economy, by urging the president to veto the bank? You, sir, risk the nation's financial life.
The Bank of the United States, which you so eloquently promote, could become not so much the engine of the state as the engine of its corruption.
Oh, that is ridiculous.
By granting Congress more power to do whatever it deems good for the United States, you also grant them the power to do whatever evil they please.
Have you ever read my bill, or is your judgment another hand-me-down from Madison?
My God, Mr. Hamilton!
Gentlemen, please, keep your voices down.
Sir, help me convince Mr. Jefferson. He and Madison, by their strict interpretation of the Constitution, would put shackles on us forever so that we cannot change with the times. A strong government must have the right to intervene in all matters touching the general welfare.
But what are the consequences of such power? Our freedom is threatened. Already the veterans and the poor have been betrayed.
Oh, Mr. Jefferson, that...
Can you deny, sir, that speculators descended in the backcountry, purchased stock at depressed prices, and sold it at greatly increased value to become rich? Your funding, sir, proved to be a flagrant injustice and corrupt at the heart. And so may this damnable bank and the rest of your plans.
The last thing I wished to do in all the world was hurt those who fought and bled by my side in the war. Even out of injustice can come a greater good. A nation of new strength.
Gentlemen, please.
Mr. Jefferson, with your help, we could create an economic structure that'll last for centuries.
You... Sir, To make us self-sufficient.
Yes.
I would have us export food, natural resources, and import manufactures forevermore. Let the workhouses and the factories remain in the foul cities of Europe.
You would deny destiny then and turn away from what could be our greatness.
You may keep your greatness and your destiny and your fetid dreams of wealth through manufacture.
Sir!
The people who rule the land are the chosen people of God, if ever indeed he had a chosen people.
Excuse me, Grandpapa. Forgive me, Mr. Jefferson, Mr. Hamilton, for interrupting you.
Please convey my apologies to your granddaughter, Mr. President. Whatever else need be said, can wait, since obviously we have no common ground. Good day, Mr. President. Good day. Mr. Hamilton?
Mr. President.
No. I don't need to hear any more. I make up my own mind in my own time. Good day.
Good day, sir.
Nellie told me about Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Jefferson. I'm sorry, dear.
Doesn't Jefferson remember the war? Printing that worthless paper money to keep the army in the field, and then they went hungry. What am I to do? I'm glad you're here, gentlemen.
Mr. Jefferson, it's your turn.
I'm a touch under the weather, sir.
He's a nice one. Trust you will catch solutions to our problems faster than this fish.
Damn it, he's as fractious as Congress.
Watch your tongue. Mr. Jefferson is Mr. Madison's advocate. Perhaps he can instruct us, if not on the art of angling, and certainly on how to reach a compromise on your financial plan.
The only thing I can reach, sir, is the railing.
Oh, my sympathy, sir. There's nothing worse than a rebellious stomach.
Except a rebellious Congress. Ow. Ow.
Sir, can we head ashore now?
No, not until you two catch something. I think I will stretch out in the bow here for a while you two continue casting for that most delectable of legislative quarries, a quid pro quo. That would be tasty.
Perhaps, Mr. Hamilton, the dispute over where to locate our national capital could be the basis of an agreement on your scheme. Plan.
What do you have in mind?
Mr. Madison does not want our government located in New York or Philadelphia, influenced by moneymen. And the Carolinas are alarmed over that Quaker petition to abolish slavery. They want the government located in the South.
You expect me to throw away the dearest interest of New York and Pennsylvania. They want Philadelphia to be the new capital.
Give them 10 years as the nation's home, after which we can relocate to a new city further south.
How much further south?
The banks of the Potomac would appeal to many.
What makes you think Madison will agree?
He can still vote against you, but work behind the scenes with me to secure enough Southern support to pass funding.
And
government assumption of war debts.
Would he consent to this?
You get me off this boat, sir, and I'll guarantee it.
I should drop off more often.
Cousin, I am temporarily short of funds, so if you don't intend to purchase any shares in the new bank,
Perhaps you'd lend me whatever you can afford? You know I'll repay you. Randolph, you cannot plunge into something like this damnable bank on borrowed money. A few hundred. No, not a cent. And don't try to borrow from anyone else, especially Hamilton. Even if you had the money, the Attorney General shouldn't buy shares. It's a conflict of interest.
Oh, no, please, don't stop what you were doing. Go on. Mrs. Powell, good evening.
Good evening. Your host, Mr. William Bingham, and his wife, Anne, who also happens to be my niece.
We are honored, Mr. President.
Mr. President, we've so looked forward to this moment.
Mr. and Mrs. Bingham, Mrs. Washington.
It's a pleasure, madam.
Would you mind awfully? Aunt Maud can't wait to meet you. William, please do the honors.
Oh, yes. Will you come this way, madam?
Thanks. At last, sir, you're here. What joy the entire city of brotherly love feels at the return of the world's greatest hero.
Please, Mrs. Bingham, you've already put my head into a spin.
But it's true. And now that we have you back, we have no intention of letting you go. This is where the capital should be forevermore. So please, change the minds of that Congress.
Who knows what I might do under such a bewitching influence.
And, dear, we must not let the president forget that he has other lovely women eager to make his acquaintance.
Well, if you ladies will excuse me, I must have a word with Mr. Hamilton. You seem miles away.
Yeah. Perhaps I am, sir. I'm missing my wife.
When is Mrs. Hamilton expected back?
I just heard from her father. General Schuyler feels she should stay in Albany until she's fully recovered. The birth was very difficult.
I hope she's feeling better soon.
Please, gentlemen, the ladies are starved for your attention.
Seems to be the only form of exercise I have time for these days, much to my detriment.
Oh, my dear sir, you underestimate your potent effect upon ladies and their frustration.
Frustration?
At your apparent disinterest. Yet in Virginia, so we hear, you were called, behind your back, of course, the Stallion of the Potomac. Are such tales not true?
The Stallion of the Potomac is royal gift. My stud jackass.
Good morning, sir.
I must see you.
Madam, please. I told you Mr. Hamilton may be too busy today to see anyone.
Please, sir, please.
That poor woman, why is she so desperate?
She wouldn't tell me, sir. And I certainly wasn't going to subject you to an embarrassing appeal.
I can't just turn my back on her.
Mr. Hamilton...
Show her in, Wilcott.
Yes, sir. Madam, Mr. Hamilton will see you.
Thank you.
Sir, the Revenue Commissioner from Western Pennsylvania is expected any moment.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcott.
Sir, I know I shouldn't take the time of so important a man as you, but... Oh, God, I have nowhere else to turn.
Please, sit down. Sit down. Tell me what it is.
You must believe that I'm not so bold a woman as to do this sort of thing. I come from a respectable New York family, and my sister married a Livingston. My husband, I feel so ashamed to tell you this. My husband ran off with another woman and abandoned me. And I'm desperate, stranded in Philadelphia without the funds to return home. And I spoke to your friend, Mr. William Dewar, who told me of your kindness to others, and I didn't know what else to do but to come to you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. I don't know what I can do about your husband. But if you'll give my deputy your address, I'll try to help you.
Kevin? What do you think you're doing, young man?
Nothing.
I didn't think it was long division.
It's a car.
A car? Well, I bet everyone would just love to see it, wouldn't they?
No, I don't think so.
Up front. Go on.
It's real smooth and sporty. And it's long and low like this. And the engine is back here. And?
Does it have a name?
Well, I was kind of thinking of...
Wildcat.
Wildcat?
That's what it's called.
And you say a computer helped design it?
By using computers, what took us 8 months now takes us less than 6 weeks.
So what does that mean?
It means that we get people the kind of GM cars they want, a lot faster.
It's got the same engine exposure as a motorcycle.
Exactly. Why not showcase it?
I like it, Kevin.
So we've got to go ahead. Let's see what the product group has to say. Then we can really get at it.
We just aren't getting optimal figures on the aerodynamics.
I can't figure it out.
Articulated spoiler?
Why not?
You're right. Might work.
Well, Kevin, do you have a name for it?
Well, I was kind of thinking of Wildcat.
Good evening. Here's news break from CBS News. The 25 Soviet UN diplomats expelled by the United States were told they had until October 1st to leave. At least 2 of them left today, got on an Aeroflot plane to Moscow. In Stockholm, the United States, the Soviet Union, and 33 other nations approved an agreement today designed to reduce the risk of accidental war in Europe. It calls for exchanges of information about military exercises and troop movements. It's the first East-West agreement since SALT II. More after this.
The American dream is one of hope and possibilities. We're GMAC, people who help make dreams come true. First, we made automobile financing easy. Now, home mortgages, financing for a boat, even MIC insurance to keep your dreams safe. We're the financial services people from General Motors. GMAC, official sponsor of America's dreams.
President Corazon Aquino of the Philippines today visited the house near Boston where she and her husband once lived in exile. Then, in the Bronx, New York, she went back to her alma mater, Mount St. Vincent. At Fordham University, was given an honorary Doctor of Laws degree as 8,000 Filipino Americans cheered. I'm Charles Osgood. See you later on the CBS Sunday Night News.
This is CBS.
You know, I used to spend a lot of lunch hours on a bank line. Not anymore. Now I have bankless banking. It's only for manufacturers Hanover Trust, and it lets me choose how to bank. Like doing almost everything by phone till 10 p.m. with a banker. Or using cash machines from here to California. If you call 1-800-MHT-BANK, you'll get a free bankless banking kit. Then you can spend less time at the bank and more time doing what you like.
Monday on Divorce Court, when a doctor rented some movies.
They were hardcore pornography and shockingly violent.
Was he trying to stimulate his marriage?
Erotic stimulation, not violent stimulation.
Or did he brutalize his wife?
And began ripping my clothes off.
Divorce Court. Then on Superior Court, when a teacher is fired on moral grounds.
She was unmarried and pregnant.
Is it sexual discrimination? Superior Court, right after Divorce Court, Monday on Channel 2.
Play along with Wheel of Fortune, weeknights at 7:30.
And now, back to tonight's General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
It's the first room at the top of the stairs.
Thank you. I wasn't able to locate your husband. There's coach fare to New York and a little something extra to help you get settled.
Oh, sir. How can I ever thank you?
No, it's not very much.
You saved my life. I would have killed myself.
No, you must not even think that.
If you only knew what my life has been like. I was married when I was 15. And my husband, he ruined me, sir. He ruined me.
Shh. It's all right. You're still very young. And very attractive. You'll meet a decent man.
If only I'd been blessed to meet a gentleman like you, sir, when I was still so innocent. Everything might have been different.
It's not too late. When you get back to New York, you can start a whole new life. Now, I'm to meet some men. But I won't go away until you wipe away your tears and show me you can smile. That's right.
I don't want you to go.
I'm afraid I must.
Please.
No, my deputy will wonder what happened to me. Good night, Mrs. Reynolds.
Please don't call me that. I never want to hear that name again.
Good night, Maria.
I can't let you go.
Maria.
Let me show you my gratitude. In a way that it might please you.
Eliza, what a pleasant surprise.
I hope this will be an even more pleasant surprise, my friend. See what I brought you. Let me show you. It's quite unique. An inflexible collar, which I strongly suggest be used on Nellie. You raise it by means of this screw to force the child to keep her head up, thus giving her a regal bearing. And have her be accused of being royalty? But it would be such a pity, my dear, for a budding figure as lovely as Nellie's to be spoiled by her not holding herself erect. It expands the chest and prevents that look of foolish bashfulness from which so many of our young people suffer. Well, I must go. Try not to make any more earth-shaking decisions before I can offer my advice, Mr. President.
Well, Eliza will never suffer from foolish bashfulness, huh? Are you all right?
Yes.
Something is troubling you.
It's just...
Now, go on, tell me.
Compared to Eliza Powell, I feel naive and clumsy.
Martha.
Oh, George.
Yes, she's a friend. But you're my wife. And more than anyone, I need you.
This is the last time I'm going to warn you. You're going more deeply in debt to speculate at just the wrong time. I warned you before, and look what happened.
I know what I'm doing.
I hope so. For my new deputy, Oliver Wolcott uncovered a shortage on the Treasury books during your stewardship.
What do you mean?
He's about to bring suit against you for thousands of dollars he believes you owe the United States.
Oh, my God, you have to stop him. Use your influence, whatever, but give me time. A suit could ruin me. Alex, I'm not the only man to succumb to temptation.
I had to see you.
Shh. Someone in the other room. Wait in here. I've urgent business. You'll have to leave.
You will help me.
Yes, I'll see what I can do.
That's all I need, just a little
I'll
time.
see what I can do.
I know I'm never to come here, but I didn't know what else to do. Why didn't you visit me last night?
Maria, what?
I want you, I need you, please.
No. It must end. Mrs. Hamilton will be returning from Albany, and I can't have
I
you.
love you.
Don't you understand?
Please don't send me away. I'm scared.
What's happened? Tell me.
My husband's come back. He says he's finished with the other woman, and he's planned to make it up to me. And now that he's heard I'm in love with someone else.
You told him that?
Well, I couldn't lie. And now he demands to meet you, to offer him justice.
You can think of me what you want, Mr. Hamilton. But is what I've done any worse than what you've done? You, sir, have put the horns on me, and that is worse than killing a man. You abandoned her. I couldn't stand for her to see me the way I was. I'd lost everything. And then when I finally get myself straight again, I come back to this. Damn you, sir. You've robbed me of all the happiness in the world.
Sir, I swear to you, I give you my word as a gentleman. The affair is at an end.
Look, I don't want to make you feel that bad, Mr. Hamilton. I've sort of, I've gotten used to the thought now, and I still love her, mind you. Maybe there's no need for her to stop seeing the great Treasury Secretary. If, in return, I can be helped. Do you understand? Preference. A favor given for favor received. I'm not greedy, Mr. Hamilton. Call it a loan, so that I can invest in what you tell people is the country's great future.
No.
You needn't worry. The president don't know. No one knows anything yet about the great Treasury Secretary and that lovely young woman. Maria loves you, Mr. Hamilton. She does. And you care about her too, don't you? Don't you?
I cannot myself leave the battlefield until we drive Hamilton from the president's inner circle.
That is where your pen, Mr. Freneau, has proven mightier than the monarchist's sword. So you must now redouble your efforts.
Mr. Madison and I believe that Hamilton has been so puffed up by his supporters that he is plotting to make himself king when the president dies.
What if I attack Washington as well in my newspaper?
The people still love the man, and in reaction might turn against us. Besides, I believe the president's motives to be pure. And I know how sensitive he is.
Well, then the shock of criticism will be all the more effective in detaching him from Hamilton.
Sir, I don't like it.
When the nation is at peril, we must sometimes do things we don't like. We can no longer allow Washington to stay above the battle.
Look what Freneau has to say. The great man's pretended reluctance to serve again hides a secret hunger to be crowned.
Washington, he come to town riding Alex Hamilton. Put a crown on top of his head. He claims to be his son. Son of a whore is he. Hang the man.
It's just whiskey nonsense. They don't mean anything by it.
Whiskey nonsense, as you call it, every time Freneau's paper comes out. Wonder why I missed the last issue. The man himself never fails to send me several copies.
I burned them. What? I can't bear to have you read that trash.
You shouldn't have done that. I need to know what they're saying about me.
Sorry.
I know you mean well, but...
That awful Freneau prattles about free speech, yet he would deny it to your supporters while demanding it for his own faction.
Yes, I know. It's the same in my cabinet. They conspire against one another behind my back. I'm sick of it. All of it.
Then leave. You've done all you can. Let them stand on their own now.
Sir, Anthony Wayne's army is just not ready. We must rely on him to decide when he can attack with hopes of victory over the Indians and their British protectors.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, there's one last issue. This newspaper war, I want it ended.
I admit, sir, my role in the controversy, and I pledge my honor to you, sir, to do my part in reuniting your administration.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Well, if nobody else has anything to say, we'll adjourn this meeting. Mr. Jefferson, Mr. Hamilton, would you please stay behind? Thank you, gentlemen.
I wanted to talk to you privately because...
Mr. Hamilton pledges his honor. What hypocrisy. How dare you, sir, make capital out of Freneau's attacks when you yourself publish scurrilous articles in your own servile press under an alias?
Listen to the man. He indicts me for hypocrisy. He invented the word. Well, he pulled the strings of his congressional puppets to try and destroy me. I had to fight back or crawl away in defeat. Now, I know what's behind such vicious personal attacks. You, Mr. Jefferson, look down on me as socially your inferior. I warn you, sir, I will tear off the veil and show you for what you are. A secret voluptuary who wants to be another Caesar.
Mr. Hamilton...
Let me remind you...
Stop it.
I'll be damned if I will put myself on the rack for a second term, unless you two stop these petty quarrels and pull together.
I thought robotics were only being used for welding and painting.
Oh, sure. That's how we're getting parts to fit better, a better finish.
Right, but is there anything new in robotics?
Well, let's see. There's machine vision that lets GM robots inspect parts and keep a lookout for any production snags.
You mean these things can see?
Oh, in the future, they'll be able to spot just about anything. In the future, they'll be able to spot just about anything.
And now, back to tonight's General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
Gentlemen. I've decided to refuse a second term.
By God.
Sir, you can't leave.
So that I don't lose all influence between now and the time when I announce my leaving office, I ask you all to please keep my decision a secret.
Sir, how can you do this?
Well, my time is running out. I'm getting old. My usefulness to this country is at an end.
Sir, President,
please stop.
We need you, now more than ever.
Without you, we could splinter into 3 hostile nations.
Sir, you must...
I'm going home.
It's called champagne. Mr. Jefferson says a monk by the name of Dom Perignon invented it. Oh, my dear. I feel as bubbly as this wine, now that I know you're determined to leave office. Happy birthday.
The Powells are here. I must thank Eliza for a very considerate letter she wrote to me. Would you excuse me?
I agree. Mrs. Powell, good evening. You must taste this new wine. It's called champagne. It might put a smile on your face.
Mr. President.
Don't think I didn't appreciate that long letter you wrote to me urging to give up the presidency, but you see...
Sir, would you walk with me outside? Sir, as your dear friend, you must permit me to speak from my heart.
Oh, you need no permission to do that.
I know you feel diffidence about your abilities. You think some other younger leader would make a better president, but you're wrong. You are indispensable to this nation.
Mrs. Powell.
Your retirement would be a disaster.
No man is indispensable.
I know how sensitive you are in matters of public opinion. But people will say that ambition was the mainspring of all your acts. Some will even say that you foresaw the collapse of the government and fled to keep from being caught in the crash.
But none of that's true.
In matters of public opinion, truth is what people think it to be.
I am not concerned about what other people think.
You've always been concerned. It's your nature. Sir, are you certain you want to leave when you're needed the most?
Thank you for a wonderful birthday.
You don't look any older.
You see, that's why I love you so much. You must remind me to tell Mr. Jefferson how much we enjoyed that bubbly wine. You know, they badgered me all night. Randolph, Knox. To accept the second term is the only thing that Jefferson and Hamilton have agreed on in age.
And Eliza?
How do you feel?
Selfishly, I would pack our bags tonight, slip away without anyone knowing. But you're not just mine anymore. I'm the president's wife. You belong to all the people. And you must decide how much they need you. I'm sorry, dear. I don't help very much, do I? Forget what I said, George. You've always done what's right.
What is right?
A mob has besieged William Doer's mansion and threatened to hang him. And you, too.
Mr. Wilcott, order our federal marshals to rescue Doer and take him to debtor's prison.
Yes, sir.
They blame Doer and you for the financial collapse. Excuse me.
For you, sir.
General Schuyler, I'm needed at the Treasury. An emergency.
Another one or the same one?
I'm not sure how long it'll take.
It's not laudanum. You do love me, don't you?
Damn it.
I thought it was that
Don't
you
you ever
really
do that
cared.
again.
Hunter really cared about me before. I didn't mean to scare you, Alex. I just wanted you to come.
Don't.
I can't live without you.
You don't mean that. It's not true.
It is, it is.
It's over.
Please don't leave me.
It's over. This is the last loan I'll ever give your husband. Goodbye. My sweet Maria.
Alex, be careful. He says they'll have you killed.
I tell you, gentlemen, I haven't felt so encouraged about this country's prospects since your time. With our victory in the elections and the support of the people in the streets who rejoice at the French Revolution, the time is now to conquer Hamilton.
I agree. We've already proven that the man's followers have enriched themselves through shady deals. But not even Doer going to jail has weakened Hamilton's hold over the president.
No, we must nail the man himself.
Yes, but how? Covers his tracks like a fox.
Gentlemen, a man who once worked for me and is now in jail for fraud wants to talk with the Jeffersonian leaders. He says he has it in his power to hang the Secretary of the Treasury.
Betsy? Betsy? Are you all right?
I'm all right. A good omen when a candle is dropped and stays lit.
Are you sure you don't feel faint?
I'm fine. You don't have to treat me like Wedgwood china. I won't break. We don't have to wait any longer. I really am completely recovered. I've missed you so, my dearest. When Mr. Wolcott leaves, I'll be waiting for you.
Well, well. Come in, gentlemen. Well, Mr. McGraw.
Forgive us, Mr. Hamilton, for disturbing you so late. But there's something that we must tell you.
I was working late anyway. Come into my office, gentlemen. My deputy, Mr. Wolcott, Mr. Monroe, Mr. Venable, Mr. Muhlenberg.
Gentlemen. We had hoped to speak with you in private, Mr. Hamilton.
Well, I have nothing to hide from my friend. Obviously, it's something serious, or such august Jeffersonians wouldn't be disturbing me so late. Can I have your brandy?
Thank you, no.
Then have at me, sir.
Today we visited a jail where a man named James Reynolds is being held. Do you know the man, sir?
Yes, I know the man.
He accuses you, Mr. Hamilton, of using your office to line your pockets with speculators' gold.
You believe him?
At this moment, we really don't know what to believe.
I will turn my pockets inside out. If you can find any gold there, you're a master of alchemy.
Mr. Hamilton.
You know, my wife is from one of the great New York families, yet you'd take the word of a despicable rogue like Reynolds against me.
Sir, we didn't say that we believe
Is
this
it true,
man.
as I've heard whispered too many times behind my back, that you still regard me as a bastard from the West Indies, the whore child?
Sir, we're not accusing you of anything. We're merely giving you the opportunity to answer this man Reynolds.
Yes, you shall know all about Mr. Reynolds. And his wife, who took me to her bed. Has the gentleman told you about that?
Mr. Hamilton, we don't wish to pry into your private life.
I'm an adulterer, gentlemen. Sir, it's all right. A fornicator. I allowed the woman's husband to extort loans from me in exchange for his wife's favors. Until I couldn't live with my own infamy. There you have it, my friends. Born in shame to a woman accused of whoring, I have perpetuated my shame. But I have never stolen a farthing, nor gained one through the illegal or unethical use of my office. You have the truth. Do what you want with it.
GM Odyssey 2, Scene 1, Take 3. What does this Charlie have to do with fifth-generation computers?
Well, you could say that Charlie's the brains behind it.
What is he, a programmer?
Engine expert. The best there was at GM.
Was?
Well, he retired 5 years ago. But before he left, he taught a computer everything he knew.
Okay, Charlie. If a vehicle is stalling or cutting out, what do you think the problem would be?
Well, no, I guess I'd look for it to be a computer failure, ignition, something with the fuel.
Where do you start?
Well, first off, I'd have to know when does it stall? While driving, stopping, or just right out of the blue?
Harry.
What's that?
Harry, watch it. I'm watching it. Harry.
What?
My mold.
Now, why didn't you cover that thing with some of that stretchy stuff before we left?
Why didn't I? Who was it who said, Rita, we're going to be late? Oh, my.
What's that? Shh, shh.
Don't you shush me.
What is that?
What's what?
That.
You mean that?
Yeah, that.
Well, it's nothing. Now we're late.
Well, we better stop.
And they're off. Number 3, Bucks County, both quickly, followed by number 6, Dan Ken. Number 1, now named Colt, moving up on the inside.
If you're not too busy, we could use some help.
Sounds like you got yourselves a real problem here.
I don't know what happened. Just started missing all of a sudden, and then...
Is the engine all right?
Have you got a fridge?
You think you can fix it?
I think Charlie and I could have a go at it.
Charlie, a mechanic?
Engine expert.
Watch the washing machine. It's a present.
Sorry, Ellie, I don't know what time we're gonna get there. No, I don't know what's wrong with it. I'm not a mechanic. Hey, listen, is little Jimmy around?
So now, Charlie, old buddy, what do we got here? Okay, Charlie, computer checks out. Now what? Unknown. Yeah, I'd say so. Well, it just happened out of the blue.
Are you sure about that? Okay, I'm doing it.
You know, Charlie, I'd have never thought that.
That was quick.
Done and fixed. Just to plug the fuel filter.
You're sure lucky to have that Charlie fella here.
Don't I know it?
Well, thanks again. And thank Charlie for us.
Bet. Y'all drive carefully.
Did you hear him?
I heard it.
My new
And now, back to tonight's General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
Now we can destroy him.
Along with his wife and children.
Like magic. It will remove him from his favored position at the president's side.
But is revealing such a sordid alliance our right? A man's private life should remain just that, private. And I've no wish to see Washington, whose affection for Hamilton is so obvious, hurt by such a revelation. Mr. Hamilton knows we know. Let that be enough for now.
You're refusing our one chance to finish him.
Oh, there'll be another. I cannot believe that having set out a feast for his friends to devour, he has not himself spooned up some of the juicier tidbits.
And perhaps the time is ripe to have the House demand of Hamilton a complete accounting of all the acts of the Treasury since the government began. If it's done so late in the session that the man hasn't time to prepare such a complicated report before adjournment, it will increase popular suspicions about his honesty. The charges can then be considered in the autumn by the new, more anti-Hamilton House, by which time hard evidence against him might have turned up.
Why, Mr. Monroe, you have an instinct for politics. Yes. If we are to hang Hamilton, let it not be for his lust, but for his greed.
I wondered what had happened to you after the post rider came. News from France?
Madame Lafayette, her husband is still in prison. She pleads with me to rescue him. How can I explain to her that as chief executive of a country, I cannot interfere in another nation's affairs? It would also undoubtedly bring down the wrath of our Republicans.
It is done, Mr. President. You have been unanimously elected to a second four-year term.
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson.
Forgive me if I disheartened Mrs. Washington. I know she was not anxious for you to serve again, but...
Mrs. Washington and I have had so little untroubled time in the past 16 years. Why shouldn't we both grieve at being condemned to 4 more of such wretchedness?
Perhaps I can somewhat lift your spirits, Mr. President. I have reconsidered my determination to leave the government. The tide which seemed to flow toward monarchy is now carrying us back to a people's government.
Monarchy? Are you referring to the president, sir?
Sir, I meant those who would use you.
Have you so little confidence in my judgment that you imagine I could be used by anyone?
I spoke without thinking, forgive me. But I think you should know that Mr. Hamilton has not been absolved. The House has found some irregularities in his report, and a resolution based on a number of extremely serious charges has been drawn up. If passed by the full House, Mr. Hamilton will be forced to resign.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Try it.
I have other things on my mind besides apples.
What do you think?
Tasty?
Just tasty.
Delicious.
It's called an Albemarle pippin. Mr. Jefferson developed it. Go ahead, finish it. It's not laced with poison.
I suspect you are making a point, sir, but I'm not exactly sure what it is.
I don't want to see you hurt, Alex. But I must tell you that you are under suspicion.
Under suspicion?
Yes, there are people who are investigating certain rumors, accusations about your activities.
Rumors? Accusations. Malignant lies.
No, you don't have to.
That there's speculation in stocks is no fault of the government. Laws don't speculate, people do. And the charge, sir, that I'm seeking a crown for you is ridiculous. The way to establish a monarchy is surely not to build a republican government on a sound financial foundation, as I am doing, but rather to undermine the government, as my critics are doing. Are you going to stand by and let my enemies nail me to the cross?
I have faith in you, Alex. But as president, I must allow this investigation to proceed. Trust. Trust in the legal system.
Trust? I always thought I could put my trust in men. Especially one man whom I admired above all others. I was mistaken. Good day, sir.
Mr. Hamilton, if you ever go back to the law, you'll have me as a client. Only you could orchestrate so brilliant a defense.
Thank you. Mr. President, I thought you should hear it from me. I've been cleared. Jefferson thought he could hang me with unsubstantiated charges, but he was wrong. The House soundly defeated the indictments.
Good. Good. I know you're still hurt that I didn't do more to try to protect you from, how did you phrase it, legislative persecution. But I knew you'd be cleared.
At least we both agree on that.
But I couldn't be swayed by friendship, Alex.
I acknowledge your right, sir, to be impartial. But perhaps unduly, I expected more. I must go. Good day, sir.
I'm sorry you missed Martha. She and the children are enjoying a ride in the countryside.
I left my needlepoint to enjoy a few moments with the great Washington. Obviously, your flowers know who's president. They're in full bloom while ours are still sleepy.
Yes, well, I brought them from home. I spend as much time as I can out here. Garden puts problems in their place. Breeds new hope.
Amid all our troubles since independence, you, Mr. Washington, are the only one who gives me a sense of glorious destiny. The country would be lost without you. And so would Eliza Powell.
My dear.
It's true. I know it seems as if I have all a woman could want. A splendid house, a successful husband. But none of this means as much to me as your friendship. And I have to say it. I yearn for something more than friendship.
Well, I'm flattered beyond all measure, my dear. Friend.
Dearest George, you are so gallant. And as frustrating as your highborn Jack must be for his mares. So, all the breathless whispers behind fluttering fans are merely baseless rumor and wishful fantasy.
It's going to spread through Europe! We started it! Now the French have their revolution! Maybe England next! Down with all monarchies!
Apparently, they've just gotten the news of the French victory at Valmy. I'm very concerned about Lafayette. He escaped the Jacobins, you know, only to be jailed in Austria.
Mr. President, support of that bloody revolution in France has become an American passion. Our homegrown revolutionaries feed on all this popular enthusiasm to further their own designs.
Alex, you must stop this chronic suspicion of your opponents.
They used to sing God Save Washington.
The 21st century is just around the corner.
What does that mean?
Well, by looking ahead, we can develop technology for today.
Oh, let's go back 2 seconds.
By looking ahead, we can develop technology for today.
I still think 4 was a better take.
So when the future comes...
Let's rewind to the top. There.
The 21st century is just around the corner.
What does that mean?
Well, by looking ahead, we can develop technology for today.
So?
So when the future comes, we'll be ready.
I think we've got it. Good night.
Good night.
So when the future comes, we'll be ready.
And now, back to tonight's General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
Welcome, citizens
Citizen Genet, on behalf of the President of the United States and all his countrymen.
I am as much a delegate to the American people as to the government. And I am empowered to negotiate a new treaty establishing even closer relations between France and the United States!
Hysteria has seized the United States since those madmen in Paris declared war on England. Mr. Ambassador, what can we do to prevent this country from entering the war?
I share your apprehension, sir. But my government will use her control of the seas to blockade France.
With the pro-French mood of our people, that would force the United States into war with England.
What is your president's position?
For peace. Passionately. But not at the price of national honor. But be assured, I will exert every influence I have to prevent my country from entering the war on the side of France.
Careful, my friend. Or you could be accused of treason next.
I am no Benedict Arnold. My very life is dedicated to the peace and prosperity of the United States, which is why I expect you, Mr. Hammond, to warn your government against any aggressive act which might give our rabid pro-French zealots cause to demand war.
To reason among friends.
I assume, Mr. Jefferson, that you are aware of Freneau's latest outrage. The man claims to know from a source close to the government that the president signed the neutrality proclamation because the Anglophiles threatened that if he had not, they would have cut off his head. Has the man no shame?
Sir, if one is to have a free press...
I do not need to be reminded of the virtues of newspapers free to print the truth. But this man Freneau knows neither truth nor honesty. He says that I shut myself up like a king. That I keep only my own counsel like a king. He even accuses me of celebrating my birthdays like a king.
We must all, at one time or another, pay the piper for the privilege of unbridled journalism.
Mr. Jefferson, call off your dog.
And what do you suggest? That I threaten to withdraw his appointment as translator? Freneau's newspaper exposes those who would turn our constitutional democracy into a monarchy.
Oh, nonsense. You can count on the fingers of one hand those who would seriously advocate an American king. God, all I can take of government by rumor and innuendo. And as for the accusation that I am now Hamilton's catspaw, and thus anti-French,
sure.
I am extremely grateful to those Frenchmen who died fighting for us. But their current government seems on the verge of tearing itself to pieces, thus preparing the way for a despot.
But will you receive Genet, the minister from France?
This man must not be allowed to bring war here.
Mr. President, may I present Citizen Genet, Minister of the Republic of France.
Our warmest welcome, Citizen Genet, on behalf of all of our people. It is our desire to live in peace and harmony with all nations, and particularly France.
Ah, my dear President Washington, to serve my country by paying tribute to you, the greatest citizen of all, who showed the way for our revolution, is my dearest wish.
Thank you, Citizen Genet.
Now, from affairs of the heart to affairs of state, eh? You have expressed a willingness to enter into a more liberal treaty of commerce with us. I bring full power to make such a treaty.
Excellent.
Our national convention lays open our colonies to your use without your helping defend them. We see in you, George Washington, the only person on earth who can love us sincerely and deserve to be so loved. Now, I will claim no more of your time. We will, in the future, I trust, not only lift many a glass together, but speak to each other from the heart. No, I can escort myself out, my dear Jefferson. We are all citizens now, and so do not stand on ceremony. Mr. President, my dear, dear friend.
Amazing. The man offers everything and expects nothing.
Citizen Genet clearly hopes the United States will nurture American privateers who will supply the French West Indies now cut off from the homeland by the British fleet. It's not out of affection, but out of necessity that the French open her colonies so freely to us.
Yes, but this presumptuous Frenchman has been commissioning American ships to challenge the British Navy. Can this man, supposed to be a diplomat, not understand that such behavior is in violation of our neutrality?
He is only acting, sir, as would the representative of a bloody, illegal government which has overthrown a legitimate king.
Oh, no, Mr. Hamilton, I too deplore the executions, but this is a revolution. And rather than lose the enterprise on which the liberty of a whole nation depends, I would tolerate such transgressions.
I can't believe my ears.
And most citizens agree with me.
Gentlemen, we are not here to debate the merits of revolution, but to decide what to do about Citizen Genet and the British ships he has encouraged to be captured. Would you please address the issues?
The prizes must be returned to the British.
And the privateers ordered out of American waters.
Absolutely not. We are no longer British cat's paws.
May I, Mr. President, suggest a compromise?
Yes, please, Mr. Randolph.
The prizes should not be returned to the British.
Mr. Randolph.
Would you allow the Attorney General to finish, please?
However, future trouble must be avoided by ordering these American ships commissioned by the French out of our ports.
This is pure waggling, Mr. Randolph.
But it is what we will do.
Trust him. It's you we don't trust, Hamilton. The old man's your puppet.
You're the one put him on his knees to the great bully Britain!
The president wants... Shut the bastard up! This is our meeting!
We've had enough!
Now, King Arthur!
King Arthur!
John, go!
Every day. Your ale I now drink by the hogshead.
Good evening, gentlemen. Citizen Genet, may I see you privately?
Private? There is no such word in the Revolution's lexicon. All matters must be known by the people.
I must see you alone. It's urgent.
Forgive us, citizens. Your Secretary of State would seem to be deficient in fraternity. Now, what is so urgent, citizen, that it could not wait for me to drain another tankard of your excellent ale?
My friend, I must warn you. What you have just done by arming the Little Sarah to attack British shipping is a double violation of the Neutrality Proclamation. You must assure me, Citizen Minister, that that ship will not set sail till the facts can be laid before the President.
I, Citizen Genet, warn your President. His policies and actions are contrary to the wishes of the American people, who are not serfs, as that old man seems to think. Sir, I warn you, Citizen Secretary, don't try to stop the Little Sarah from leaving. She is guarded by high-spirited American patriots who love France. Blood will be spilled.
You, sir, would threaten to attack the United States in her own harbor? And you goaded Kentucky frontiersmen into threatening secession if Washington won't drive the Spanish out of Louisiana. The President was right. You would cheerfully bring us to war or secession.
Oh, now, Citizen Secretary.
The ale has indeed gone to your head, Citizen Minister, and you had best sober up before you seriously compromise all those in the government who support France.
Philadelphia is the cradle of liberty. Why in the devil's hell should we still have relics of royalty? There's a George II still on the front of Christ Church. Down
back up to your rooms.
We want to see.
No. Go back upstairs and wait there until I come for you. Now.
Sir, that crowd, what do they want?
I don't know. Stay back from the window. Christopher, I want no violence.
We want a second revolution! A new government with guts to declare war on England! Make the old man answer for his crimes against Genet and the French brothers! Drag Washington out! Drag old man Washington out and make him answer!
George.
You think you're a federalist, but you're a monarchist!
George Washington, The Forging of a Nation, is one of several television specials to be shown by GM in the coming year, marking the bicentennial of the Constitution of the United States. This program has been a General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
Next on George Washington 2, The Forging of a Nation.
The panic seems to be spreading faster than the fever.
If there's danger, I want us to face it together.
We are a nation again, Mr. Hamilton.
I cannot support policies I do not agree with just to keep peace in your family, sir. It's immoral.
You have betrayed me, Mr. President.
The man is another Benedict Arnold.
To hell with King George of America!
The British, is that what they want? War?
Share the spirit of Premiere Week on CBS. Tomorrow, Kate and Allie brighten up their new time, and the new boy at school is after Emma. And a special preview of a special family.
He wants to car with Amy's brain!
Both dead.
Together we stand. Then,
If there's danger, I want us to face it together.
Washington battles to unite an America torn apart by revolutionary fever. The stunning conclusion of George Washington 2. Tuesday, mystery, suspense, romance, danger. A brand new series full of surprises. The Wizard, then...
Women do not belong in the fire department.
Based on a true story starring Nancy McKeon, Firefighter. Wednesday, it takes a mother's courage.
Sweet cocaine.
To attempt the largest drug bust since the French Connection. Sophia Loren and Billy D. Williams star in Courage, a special 3-hour CBS movie. Thursday, it's the season premiere of
Guess Who?
as Rick and AJ get in over their heads fighting their latest competition. Then, on Knots Landing, Karen's disappearance is tearing her family apart.
Not if you're gonna say it's Mom's fault she was kidnapped or killed!
Where are you? And when every decision counts,
Do it now!
you want to know someone like her. Kay O'Brien. Friday,
We think we're traitors.
it's a game of Russian roulette on Scarecrow and Mrs. King. Then get ready for the return of Bobby in the explosive premiere of Dallas.
What the hell's going on there?
Saturday, life gets hot when Michael Nuri takes you downtown. Crime will never be the same. And he's got a new style and a new angle.
Thanks for the workout.
He's the new Mike Hammer. Then, journey into another dimension. Now more bizarre than ever. The Twilight Zone. Premiere week on CBS. Share the spirit.
CBS Sports Break, sponsored by Bud Light.
Good evening. The underdog Atlanta Falcons won for the first time ever today in Texas Stadium. The winning touchdown over Dallas came late in the game and was set up by this 63-yarder from Dave Archer to rookie Floyd Dixon. It was a third straight victory for the unbeaten Falcons, the surprise team of the early season in the NFL. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, Dan Marino of the Dolphins passed for 6 touchdowns, a career high, but it wasn't good enough. The Jets came from behind to win in overtime on this 43-yard pass from Ken O'Brien to Wesley Walker. It was Walker's 4th TD reception, a team record. More after this.
Don't just ask for a light beer.
Picture of light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. The less filling light beer with the first name and taste. Everything else is just a light.
2 second-half touchdown passes from Phil Simms to Lionel Manuel sparked the Giants to a comeback victory over the Raiders. It was the 3rd loss in a row for the winless Raiders. And in San Diego, the unbeaten Redskins came from behind to defeat the Chargers. For CBS Sports Break, I'm Brent Musburger.
This is CBS.
If you want to do more than just get through the day... Do you mind? Let the New York Times help. The Times can give you the options you need
Thank you.
to soften the edges of a busy day.
I'll bring it right back.
And no matter what kind of day you're having, the Times can help you get where you'd like to be and enjoy yourself wherever you are. The New York Times. It adds life to your life.
It's the beginning of a new day for New York. Today, taxes are coming down, government waste is being cut, and the state deficit is being reduced, thanks to the financial management of State Comptroller Regan. Thus far, Comptroller Regan has conducted over 1,900 audits in New York City and New York State, saving taxpayers more than $160 million. Ned Regan for State Comptroller again, because experience is the bottom line.
This is Channel 2 News Watch. Here is Richard Brown.
Good evening. An electrical fire tonight has halted service in the Metro North from Harlem to Grand Central. The fire in a switching control room beneath Park Avenue is now under control. There were no injuries, but Metro North says commuters could be delayed tomorrow morning because of the fire. Corazon Aquino returned to the Bronx today. She spoke at the College of Mount St. Vincent, where she graduated 33 years ago, receiving an honorary degree from Fordham University as well. We'll have all the news tonight following CBS Sunday Night News.
Meadowlands, we got the horse.
The special excitement of night thoroughbred racing is back at the Meadowlands. Come share the excitement.
Sex discrimination in schools, Monday at 4:30.
Now, if you were a reporter and you were lying back dreaming of the ideal assignment, as some of us are wont to do, you probably would come up with a wish that you could go anywhere to do whatever stories most interested you. Well, CBS told me not long ago that I could do just that. And so tonight, I take a look at President Reagan's proposal for the space plane of the future. I pursue, with somewhat mixed results, a sort of economic detective story to Eastern Europe, an attempt to find out why the communists can't seem to make their economies work. And I take a voyage with a grand old man of the sea.
Walter Cronkite at Large is sponsored by Merrill Lynch,
your world should know no boundaries.
To know no boundaries, to let yourself run free. To know no boundaries is what the world should be. You can see so much in life, so much in life to live. Now you see what the world can give. To know no boundaries.
Wherever there are investment opportunities, Merrill Lynch is there with the help you need to make the most of them. Because at Merrill Lynch, we believe your world should know no boundaries.
Now you see what the world can give. To know no boundaries.
Practically everyone, including the communists, knows that when it comes to delivering the good things of everyday life, communism simply hasn't done the job. The Russians haven't made it work in the almost 70 years since their revolution. A people as different from the Russians as you can get. The Cubans haven't managed to make it work in 27 years. The Chinese have been floundering with it for almost 40 years. It just hasn't worked anywhere. It doesn't supply the material well-being that capitalism, with all of its faults, does for most of its citizens. Now, we're talking here solely of the economy, not of communism's clear denial of what we consider the basic human rights of freedom of speech and press and religion and conscience, but on the economic side. Why doesn't communism work? What I sought to uncover was whether the cliche answer to that question is the real answer. The answer you usually hear for the failure to match Western economic standards is that communism is against human nature, that it doesn't provide anyone, worker or manager, the incentive to produce more than the bare minimum to get by. There isn't any profit motive, that basic incentive that presumably makes capitalism go. Just for example, in Czechoslovakia, we came across a factory making nuclear and hydroelectric generators. Only in this case, despite the country's urgent energy needs and a backlog of foreign orders, the plant is not meeting production quotas because the workers, as is their socialist right, refuse to work additional hours or shifts. The incentives, they complain, aren't enough to make them want to give up their evenings or weekends. In the Soviet Union, under a government whose system promises every citizen food, shelter, education, a job, full medical care, decent retirement, all the basic needs. Why, with that promise, wouldn't there be incentive enough for everyone to work to assure that the system works? The fact is that the Soviet state has delivered on these promises to a remarkable degree, and yet the reality of everyday life scarcely matches the predicted utopia. People standing in line for scarce and poorly made products, a black market for used autos, a 5-year wait for a new one, and then the equivalent of 3 years' wages to pay for it. But there are some Soviet consumers willing to take matters into their own hands. This, believe it or not, is free enterprise at work in the suburbs of Moscow. Weary of continuing shortages and poor quality, growing numbers of Soviet consumers are creating a need for markets like this one. Here, value and prices have been set, not by the customary government bureaucracy, but by an old capitalist formula, supply and demand. We were not supposed to take these pictures, and had our official escort been more attentive, we probably couldn't have. But they are proof of the dilemma facing Soviet leader Gorbachev. Here, workers can supplement their incomes by selling surplus produce. Consumers can pay a little more for things they might otherwise be expected to go without. Since he can't pay higher wages, and since his system is not able to meet consumer expectations, Mr. Gorbachev is having to look the other way, for the present, at least. I returned to Moscow this year for the first time in several years, and I did find that the people on the streets looked better off than I'd ever seen them.
Department stores are better stocked with basic consumer items. There are even luxury items for those who can afford them.
West Berlin?
Made in West Berlin.
West Berlin imported.
And,
but they come pretty high,
$140.
I wonder if they got
And yet, no matter how it's measured, by them or by us, the Soviet standard of living is still second world. In the 40 years since I first went to Moscow, immediately after World War II, they seem to have made about 10 years worth of progress. This compared to Western Europe and Japan, other war-ravaged areas that have made 40 years progress. Coming to Moscow still gives me the feeling of being stuck somewhere between the first and second industrial revolutions. From time to time through the decades, one leader after another has promised the Soviet citizen a better life, meaning by most interpretations, more consumer goods. But the promise is at best only partially fulfilled. Now it is Mikhail Gorbachev's time to promise. With his apparent understanding of Western public relations techniques, he has introduced a new twist. So-called socialist criticism always has been a part of Marxist dogma. One presumably could criticize how things were done, but definitely not the system under which they were done. Gorbachev has introduced a modern gimmick. He now permits some citizens to complain openly on government television. While the intent might be mostly cosmetic, these disgruntled consumers are certainly unique. This man, for example, complains of having to wait for days to get his car repaired, while influential government officials get theirs in hours. This man questions a bill for the repair of 5 doors on his 4-door car. And these tenants in a new apartment building complain about shoddy work and missing shelves and cupboards. At Moscow University, where some of Gorbachev's new economic ideas are woven into existing policy, I asked a group of economics professors if communism had failed, if it had become economically obsolete.
Before answering your question, the people who are sitting here would like to know, what do you understand as the true communist system? What is your understanding of this true communist system?
Well, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need.
The
eventual collective answer to my question, was communism failing to live up to its utopian promise, was a less than convincing no.
You know, when I was here 40 years ago,
Besides the economists, we talked to store managers and citizens, as nearly as one can, across the bridge of language and fear and eternal surveillance. But perhaps the best answer to our question came from an 88-year-old American industrialist and multimillionaire, Armand Hammer. He came here as a young doctor in 1921. He met Lenin, and he's known intimately every Soviet leader since. In his apartment in Moscow, we searched for the reasons that so many of communism's promises of a better life remain unfulfilled.
Even Lenin said to me that communism didn't work. When I saw Lenin in 1921, the first thing he said to me was, you know, socialism is good, but it doesn't work. Communism, they didn't call it socialism.
when you talked to Lenin, did he talk about the 2 steps forward and the 1 step back, the theory that he evolved about what he had to do?
No. No, when I saw Lenin, frankly, I think he was disillusioned. Yes, he is no question about it. He, one night I remember, the German doctor who was taking care of him, Dr. Förster, and we used to have a bottle of wine at night and have something to eat after he would come back from taking care of Lenin. And I remember one night he said to me, he said, I had a very frank talk with Lenin. He says, Lenin is disillusioned. He says, communism might be all right for our grandchildren's grandchildren, but not for today.
Does communism work?
No.
Why not?
Well, it's contrary to human nature. It's a great ideal. It's utopia, but it's not practical. And that's the trouble. People will be altruistic, they'll be patriotic in time of war. Sometimes they'll be unselfish in events for their cities, and of course for their families they'll be unselfish. But normally people want to be rewarded for what they do. They want incentives. And unfortunately, communism and socialism doesn't work, doesn't give people enough incentives.
Well, now, why not? I mean, they're promised housing, medical care, all the basic needs of life, and they've been delivered over the last few years anyway. Isn't that enough?
No, it's a lot. I remember talking to Mr. Gorbachev just before the first summit. I said to Mr. Gorbachev, when he said to me, you're never going to destroy socialism. I said, well, I'm not interested in destroying socialism. I said, it just doesn't work. I said, the only country it works is in Hungary, and it works there because they mix it with capitalism. And I said, well, maybe, I said, someday, some of the good things you have, like no unemployment, you have free education and free medical attention. Everyone, you know, has apparently enough to eat, they have clothes, you have a lovely cultural life and entertainment, but there's something lacking. And I said, and that is the competitive spirit that we have. And
is there a sort of a built-in ideological vested interest that here in the Soviet Union that might block any attempt to introduce capitalist methods that would make this system more efficient?
Well, that's the problem that's going to face Gorbachev, I think. I think you put your finger on it. I think that Gorbachev right now knows that it's the Hungarian model which is the future of Russia. I'm convinced of that.
If communism was ever supposed to be an obedient society dressed in drab gray, Hungary certainly flunks that test. And if they were ever warned that the evil in their lives would be the corrupting influences of capitalism, few Hungarians could have been paying attention. Because in Hungary today, capitalism is no longer a socialist expletive. Hungary, of all the nations behind the Iron Curtain, has pioneered a middle road. Communism didn't work there either, and its people who still remember the benefits of capitalism grew restive under the iron fist of the new economic order.
Bye-bye.
When she's not modeling clothes for others, Ajay Pataki is busy designing her own line of fashions and selling them at her Budapest boutique. She charges whatever she pleases for her creations, and under recent economic reforms, Miss Pataki is permitted to keep most profits she makes. And 28-year-old Tomas Nagy, until 2 years ago an engineer at a state-owned factory, earning $100 a month, today owns the small produce store, and this year expects to more than quadruple his old factory wage. Tomas and Ajay are representative of what some now jokingly refer to as the capitalist ingredient in Hungary's goulash communism. Economic innovation has gone farther in Hungary than in any other European communist nation, and it's brought a lively, vital society that rivals that of the West.
The last time the Hungarians strayed from the communist fold, Moscow sent tanks to bring them back into line. That was in 1956. Now the Hungarians are straying again, this time in their economic thinking. And the Russians are back, now with briefcases instead of tanks, trying to understand what the Hungarians are doing to socialism.
At this farm cooperative, where official visitors are reminded of its 18th century horse breeding origins with a required arrival in a horse-drawn carriage, the farm's director told me, tongue somewhat in cheek, that he occasionally longed for the good old days of communism. Before the economic reforms, he explained, his headaches were mostly of a political nature. He was told what to grow, in what quantities, where the products had to be sold, and how much to charge for them. Today, his headaches have a distinctive capitalist throb. Not only has he had to greatly improve quality, but he's also had to seek out new customers in the West with competitive prices. And, perhaps most uncommunist of all, his bosses now expect him to show a profit. But there is a catch. While the private enterprises and the cooperatives offer economic relief to some, already there are signs of tension between the haves and the have-nots. Critics of the reforms charging the reformers with creating new economic classes in a supposedly classless society. Despite occasional setbacks and in spite of continued criticism from communist hardliners, Hungary has become both a test and an example. An example Hungarian economic reformers hope other East Bloc countries will follow. A test that opponents expect to prove once and for all that communism and capitalism cannot coexist in the socialist marketplace. The jury is still out on the Hungarian economic reforms. It's still too soon for a meaningful verdict. In the meantime, the country straddles the economic fences of East and West, borrowing ideas from one while maintaining ideological loyalty to the other.
I went to East Europe to see if I could find an answer to that question of ours. Is the lack of incentive really the reason why communism doesn't seem to work? Tell you the truth, after all these words, I'm not sure I found the answer. But there is this to add, and maybe this is the answer. I asked those Soviet economists whether the basic Marxist tenet, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need, was still their goal. As I asked the question, I detected on many of their faces a knowing, perhaps even a cynical smile, and they evaded the question. But I asked the same question of a Hungarian economist, a communist. No, he said. That can't work, you see. People's needs never can be satisfied. When they reach one level of satisfaction, their needs will increase. And maybe that is the answer. Under capitalism, one's increasing needs can be met by one's increased work. Under communism, everyone's needs are determined by the state. And there goes the incentive.
To know no boundaries, to let yourself run free. To know no boundaries is what the world should be. You can see so much in life, so much in life to live. Now you see what the world can be. To know no boundaries.
Whether you're investing for your future or your children's future, our financial consultants can show you more opportunities than ever before. Because at Merrill Lynch, we believe your world should know no boundaries.
Now you see what the world can be. To know no boundaries.
Americans, we know who we are. And when it comes to news, we know who we trust. Dan Rather, weeknights on the CBS Evening News.
Premiering Saturday, Michael Nouri is a cop who doesn't pull any punches, so when he's assigned to probation, he isn't about to take it lying down.
Look, I'm a cop. I'm not a babysitter. How are you going to cover 3 places at the same time?
By turning 4 misfit parolees into the most unlikely backup unit ever seen, downtown.
This is my kind of neighborhood.
Saturday on CBS.
At the same time I was growing up in Missouri and Texas, another boy my age was growing up in Denmark. While I had my sights set on becoming a reporter, his passion was to go to sea. And what a sailor he became. It was one of those lucky assignments that caused our paths to cross. Lucky for me, because I had a chance to meet and become friendly with one of the most remarkable seafaring men I've ever known.
His ship is the Denmark. For more than 50 years, this 252-foot Danish square rigger has brought to the oceans of the world the stately beauty of the tall ship. On this voyage, she carries 19 officers and 80 young cadets, 16 to 22 years old. The captain is Wilhelm Hansen, the dean of tall ship captains. He's been the skipper of the Denmark for 22 years, and now, nearing retirement at the age of 68, he's taking his final trip on her decks. Every 5 months, a new crew of cadets joins the Denmark. 5 months for Hansen to teach not only seamanship, but also to impart a strong sense of discipline before these trainees leave to become professional sailors. Like many Danish boys, Hansen sailed a small boat as a child. Falling in love with the sea, he wanted to make his yearning his career. When he was 17, Hansen and the Denmark came together for the first time. She is a new training ship for the Danish government. He as one of her cadets. Hansen served for 24 years on another Danish training ship before returning to the Denmark. In 1964, he became her captain. Since that time, Hansen has taught the skills of the sea and the traditions of the Denmark to thousands of cadets. Married and the father of 2 sons, Hansen is a taskmaster. At his command, the cadets leap into the rigging to handle the sails. The mainmast rises 130 feet above the deck. It can be a pretty dizzy climb.
In the beginning, when we went up there, we grabbed really tight. Some of us were standing shaking there. Now it's nothing. You just climb up and you don't mind it at all. Of course, when you're at sea, it's dangerous too. You have to be aware of what you're doing still. So you have to be ready to grab a rope or a line, whatever there is. And if you don't work together up there, it just won't work. The sail will blow to pieces before you get a chance to get it onto the yard.
This summer, when the Denmark sailed into Charleston, South Carolina, I caught up with my friend and fellow sailor.
Okay, nice to see you.
Good to see you. Oh, you look wonderful. Yeah, you're surviving. I've got to go over to New Orleans.
This was one of 7 ports Hansen visited on this last tour of his.
She looks pretty good. You got her painted up all right. That looks okay.